Hello, everybody. As you can tell, this is a new form of Hospitality Hotspot. We're using my camera this time. It's a little webcam for now, but eventually I want to upgrade. But I wanted to get something to where you can kind of see my facial expressions and possibly my hands when I move them around on camera. But this podcast is about my dad, Thomas Hicks. He's a wonderful person. I think has a lot of wisdom, but also pretty comedic and funny at times. He's like your typical American dad. Um, he's kind of got a crazy story though. Joined the military like right as he turned 18, was in that for about 13 to 14 years. He got medically discharged because he went blind due to RP. It's retina eye pigmentosa or something. It's the degeneration of your retinas over time. And there's a lot we covered. There's a lot we didn't cover. He's not your typical service worker, but he's still someone that's influenced me in a lot of ways. He's helped me become the man I am today. And I think that speaks volumes. And that's kind of the reason I wanted him on. You'll probably see him on in the future as well, because I didn't get the chance to bring up karate. I didn't get the chance to bring up his hiking Mount Kilimanjaro when he was doing that. And there's a lot that we didn't really like get the chance to talk about. Um, but that will be saved for a later date. I'm excited to bring this to you though. We got the camera now, which is cool. We got the new office, which is not set up at all. We're gonna get shelving. We're gonna get the logo in here. Eventually, it's gonna be a full podcast room, but it takes time and resources that I currently don't have. I'm doing this in tandem with working and my little business and kind of a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not on the back burner, but I want to continually get a podcast out at least once a month. I know we're running late right now, but I moved, I started the school, and just trying to get guests on is kind of a little bit of a new thing too, and another hurdle that I'm going to have to figure out ways to get people on. But yeah, let's get to the podcast though. Thanks for watching. Make sure to share and comment on any polls I might have, whatever, right? All of it helps. I appreciate you. Bye. I don't, let's see, turn my mic down a little bit. How's your headphones? Are they loud? Are they too loud?
No, no. I mean, it's nice and clear. So.
Okay. So, I guess the whole point of this podcast is bringing on people that I think are like doing jobs that are helping people out on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say you're kind of more in the service industry level, but more niche because you're dealing with veterans.
Yeah, it's healthcare.
Yeah,
and rehab, rehabilitation.
But I kind of want to talk about your past that led you to this point where you're at right now,
Right.
heading towards retirement.
Right.
And I guess things that you might have learned along the way
Okay.
that stand out in your memory.
Right.
So I guess for starters, what was your first job?
Well, I mean, as a kid, you had lots of little things you did. But I think when I was 10 years old, I got a job, paper route, working for the community press, and I would get paid once a month. And it was all psychological. The guy was real nice. It was like I'd ride my bike to him, and he would hand me a roll. He'd take the $13 and roll it up like it was a lot of money. And I thought it was. So
Yeah.
I was pretty happy to get that. But my job was not just to deliver this free paper, but it was also to try and collect donations. And nobody ever gave me donations. So you kind of learned real quick that
Why would anyone ever donate?
right, the paper's free, but I mean they do things like I'd be walking up, down their driveway, and all of a sudden all the lights would go out. Like they just pretend they weren't home, from this 10-year-old paper boy.
Wait, so were you knocking on people's doors?
Yeah.
Oh shit! So you were asking them for donations?
Once I would deliver, so I deliver this paper. I believe I would deliver this damn thing. It was either daily or weekly. It was a lot of weight for me to carry on my back and my bike and stuff. At least 75 papers. When you're 10, and those things were half an inch or more thick.
Yeah.
You fold them, you get them. they'd be all zip tied together, and you fold them up and to trifold them and rubber band them and shove them back in your newspaper pouch. And
Did you carry the pouch on your back?
yeah,
No way.
yeah.
See, this is something I can't even imagine.
Yeah, yeah, you humped it on your back. You had a pouch in front and a pouch in back. And if you couldn't get the whole load, you would have to go deliver as much as you could and then come back and pick up the rest and do that. And then I think once a month I would have to go around and they give me like a book,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have to ask, collect money. And it was just donations, and it's crazy is here I am delivering these folks a free paper, and they couldn't even come off, like, no, they couldn't even give me a quarter.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of crazy, but
Yeah, they're not interested.
yeah, but
I don't think that even exists to this day though,
right,
or at least like I've heard a lot of guys your age through
Mhm.
podcasts and everything. They like that was their initial job was delivering papers,
right,
and that just doesn't exist.
right. Well, I mean, that's not so I got a more formal paper route later on as a teenager. I was working for the Times, and that paper was, people paid for that. So if you weren't on time or didn't deliver that paper, they called and complained. So, I mean, there was a time when I went motorcycle riding, and I got back a little late, and I was stressed. I was like, oh, I got to get these papers out. So I literally folded them, put them in my newspaper thing,
Mm-hmm.
and jumped on my motorcycle, which is completely illegal.
Yeah.
And I just was ripping around my route, chucking these papers at their door,
That's hilarious.
making all this noise because my motorcycle, it had a silencer. It was so loud,
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it was just mufflers. You think about Harley Davidsons when you hear them, they're so loud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would, to combat that, they would put these silencers, but they were still loud, and so here I am ripping around, it was not even street legal. It was a dirt bike.
Jeez.
So I'm so lucky I didn't get caught by the police.
Oh, and so what state was this in?
That was Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah, both paper routes were Oregon.
And then after the paper routes, that's when you joined the military then?
No, so paper route was like very, very beginning of my whole like work to earn money.
I guess how old were you when you first started the younger one, and then
10, and then, right around 13 or so with the Times. But I also, I had bought a lawnmower, and so I was mowing people's lawns with a lawnmower that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was doing that, and then my mom had me babysitting the girls, my two sisters, Charlene and Amber.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the neighbors picked up on me being a babysitter, so they were
Giving the other kids to you.
right. Yeah. So I mean, there was, I had a few kids for a while. All of this would be in Oregon, in Beaverton. Yeah.
And so after those two jobs, what was the next thing you did?
So my very first job, where I had to get a permit to work, where you're paying taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had to get a food permit, and that was with the Elks Club in Beaverton. And
Okay.
so I was a busboy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the youngest busboy. I was the youngest guy there. Everybody else was high school, and I was like,
Junior high.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom worked there, so we were like a novelty.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like I would be her busboy, and she'd get great tips.
Yeah.
For her and her son out there bussing tables.
That's wild.
Pretty fancy dining. It was like fine dining.
Mm-hmm.
The tablecloths and everything. One of my jobs was I would set up and break down the salad bar.
Yeah.
Dress up all the tables, garnish the potatoes, which that was such a humiliating thing for me to do, because you had to walk around to each person at the table and, can I please garnish your potato?
What the fuck do you garnish it with?
I would carry.
It's like cheese and parsley.
No, it would be parsley, bacon bits, butter, and sour cream.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and
hilarious.
you'd get there, and old man would go, give me it all, young man. And, I was like, oh my gosh, don't be shy with the butter, that kind of thing. So okay, a couple of times I might have plopped too much somewhere it wasn't supposed to go,
Yeah,
just that
that's
kind,
hilarious.
yeah, that kind of thing. But
That's your job.
yeah, that was pretty cool. Got to, and then
And so, did you do that for a couple of years too, then, or?
so yeah, I did that for a while, and then one day, you know the big silent quitting thing, that's
Mm-hmm.
going on right now.
Yeah.
What is that? Just people just not showing up no more?
No, it's people that go to work,
Yeah.
they say they're present, and they don't do anything.
Oh, they just sit there and don't produce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, but I also think, I mean, majority of jobs that are on laptops are kind of like that in the first place.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
remote working is the biggest scam for the employer.
yeah.
Because it's definitely benefits you and me, but
Oh, not me. I can't work
yeah.
remote.
No, I know, but I'm saying people that work remote
No, I
and
know.
yeah.
It benefits the employee.
I mean, think about the remote worker. They're halfway dressed,
I think a lot of the issue with that is
Mm.
what we're going to start seeing is just an even lower population growth because there's just less and less interaction with people and
Right.
less and less kids being produced.
It could be an
Um,
outcome, but I think they're going to come up with ways to track your every move so that they can actually pay you for what, because
Oh, they're already doing it, right? So they have people and their whole jobs right now are to track your mouse movement and your keyboard movements.
mm-hmm,
And so what people have is they download a software on their side, the employee side,
mm-hmm,
and the computer will do it at an irregular pattern,
mm-hmm.
but still will show that you're moving. And
Jeez.
so they're catching people that actually have, that where it is like regularly moving the mouse every 30 minutes or whatever.
They're scamming
And
us.
so they ended up getting fired or something
Yeah.
like that. I've read an
Okay.
article on that.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
Um,
Well, what's interesting is me and my mom one night at the Elks Club, middle of the weekend,
mhm,
rush,
mhm.
very busy. My mom came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna walk off the job tonight."
No fucking way.
And I said, "What?
Oh
What,
God.
what do you mean?" She, "Yeah, I'm
I'm done.
the manager. His name was Dick, and he was this big dude, and he was such an asshole. But I didn't have any real problems with him personally.
Yeah, you're just a busboy.
But my mom kind of took me off the side and she said, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do. You wanna come with me?" And I was like, "Okay, what do you tell your mom?"
I know. She's like, I'm
So
fucking quitting.
so she waited until the tables were loaded. And she really was devious in that way because she's like, "Let's wait
Oh
until."
wait, so she made it even worse.
Oh, she made it terrible, which
Oh,
which
what?
really screwed the coworkers and
Yeah, that's
yeah.
hilarious.
When I think about it now, it's like, God, that was really bad. That really didn't hurt the manager.
Yeah, you're just a fucking kid though. You
Yeah,
know, you're
yeah,
you're
yeah.
so and
So we did. We said our goodbyes to everybody, and they were like, "What?" And then boom, we walked the hell off the job.
oh my God.
And then when I was 14, I got a job working in Beaverton again at Giovanni's Pizza as a dishwasher. And that was super challenging, but they taught me so much. They taught me, dishwashing, prep cook, because I did a lot of prep cooking, cutting
Yeah.
cutting the meats, grinding the cheese.
Yeah, honestly,
Hmm.
I mean that's a labor intensive job too.
And then they would also have me double as a busboy sometimes, but then they'd put me on the line,
Mm-hmm.
rolling the dough, making the pizzas, and then they taught me how to manage the ovens. And then cut the so I just there were times when I did it all.
What a fun job though.
It was intense. And then my boss, he was like an uncle to me. Like he would have me there after hours, cleaning the ceilings and stuff. Just bring me to his house, have me shoveling manure in his garden.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
he just, yeah, they worked me like a dog, but they were good to me. They're like family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they fed me well. I gained 40 pounds in 6 months working for them.
You're fed right.
Oh,
Fucking
yeah.
pizza diet.
And then, so I worked for them for like 3 years. When I was 16, I got two jobs. I went back to the Elks Club, and they had new management, and there was a lady there, and she did something really cool. She taught me how to count money
Mm.
and change, so
Yeah.
I was always accurate, and that's that's been like a good skill. Like whenever I'm thinking about how much money I owe or how much money's left, it's like she taught me how to do that. Somewhere, oh, in seventh grade they taught me typing.
Yeah.
So I mean, seventh, eighth, ninth. No, I'm sorry. That's ninth and tenth. I took typing. That skill right there.
Has lasted
That is
forever.
that has probably been the best skill to help me. Think about it.
What, your
Like
modern job right now?
you don't look at, yeah, you don't even need to look at your keyboard. I mean, I haven't really completely memorized.
Yeah. Especially
So
at this point.
yeah,
Do you ever time yourself how fast you can type?
I don't know. I mean, I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm really quick at fixing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I got, I don't know, I fat finger a lot of stuff, but I get it right sooner or later. I don't practice typing. I think if I did, I could be really good, but I know I'm over 45 a minute,
Yeah.
45 words a minute. So,
I don't know where I'm at,
yeah.
but I'd imagine I'm pretty quick. Like, I'd imagine any Gen Z kid is probably fast on the keyboard at this point.
But now, I mean, now that I'm in medical records and stuff, I got to be pretty accurate about what I'm putting in there and conscientious of the veterans reading this, so I don't want to cause any emotional harm to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, so I was thinking about this before I came over. I did so many different jobs. I mean, when I moved to Alaska, I got a job in a construction company.
When'd you move to Alaska?
I moved I did my senior year. I moved back, I was born in Alaska, and then we left when I was like 10, right? I guess 9, and
Mm-hmm.
then I went back when I was 17, my senior year.
Yeah.
And so I lived with my uncle. I got a job in Jerry Zeke Construction. I was a laborer. I worked for about 7 carpenters, and we built condos.
Wild.
Yeah, it was good. That was hard, stressful, hard work. It's like 10, 12-hour days.
But
But
you
I
slept like a baby.
but I got paid once a week. I got paid once a week. Spent most of my money on
How
the
much were you
food.
getting paid an hour?
Back then it was $10 an hour.
Oh, fuck. That's
And
a big deal.
it was a huge deal because on weekends I got time and a half.
Oh, geez.
So I made bank. I was making big money. And then
You're this 18-year-old kid rolling
yeah,
in the dough.
I was making good money, and then I learned a lot. I learned, like, I would go back to my uncle, and my uncle's a Teamster, a union guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, man, this, Joe was the job supervisor. I said, he's just riding me constantly. Like he's just like, I can't please this guy. And I'm busy doing everything, but as soon as I stop, he's yelling at me.
Yeah.
I go, how do I handle that situation? He goes, this is what you do. Take out your tape measure, pull it out like about 6 inches or so, put a hammer in your right hand, walk around, and so when you don't have anything to do, just have that in your hand. And when Joe starts saying, just kind of hold your hands up, and he'll be like, oh, okay, he'll leave you alone. And so he taught me how to be a union worker.
Did it work?
It did.
Oh my god.
It
That's
totally.
hilarious.
Joe ended up falling in love with me, man. He thought, he's just trying to break me.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
comes. Yeah.
busting my balls
Yeah.
and just constantly. But I ended up really falling in love with all the guys, all the carpenters and Joe. But winter came, and so I needed a new job. So I got a job at a car wash / gas station, and they made me the cashier. They made me the cashier.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you did a whole fuck ton before you joined the military.
yeah. So that was my. No, that's okay. So the last job I had before the military is I worked for Hallmark.
Why? Why?
Yeah,
did you
so-
go from being a laborer to Hallmark?
Well, Hallmark was, I don't know, it was a friend said, hey, what we do is we go in and we set up these Hallmark stores. We put together all the merchandise displays,
Mm-hmm.
and because you want to, are you interested in that? And I was like, sure. So I was on a crew, and we just went around to different Hallmark stores, and we built, because they change with the
Okay, so
seasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you're not actually just like stocking, you're
No,
you're
I
just building stuff.
no, we were just a crew that came in that got everything set up for the merchant.
Fall, winter,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
every season.
So that was the last job I had before I joined the military.
Wild.
Yeah, yeah.
So, did you meet with a recruiter before you joined? Or what happened there?
Mm,
Who
uh,
kind of got you involved in that?
I didn't. So if I if I backpedal a little bit, when I was when I was a junior in high school, one of my buddies, not a good buddy, but a friend,
Yeah.
guy, he had joined the army his junior year,
So he's already enlisted.
but he was during his between his junior and senior year, that little break for summer,
Yeah.
he was going to basic training.
Yeah. Oh
And
shit.
and I thought, wow, that's really cool. How did you do that? He said his mom signed him up. So he joined at 17. I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. So I expressed some interest in that. I took the ASVAB test,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through the whole process, but my mom wouldn't do it. I couldn't get an adult.
That's Dylan's mom was the same thing.
Yeah,
So he had to wait.
yeah,
Literally on his birthday, he was
yeah,
shipped out.
yeah. So that I had to wait too, but that went away. Then I moved to Alaska, and I did all those the construction, the car wash, school, played football for West High School, um, couple of girlfriends, normal teenager
Yeah.
type stuff. Then I decided, man, I don't know what happened. I was living out in I was living in Big Lake, Alaska, which is just outside of Wasilla,
Mm-hmm.
and I was living I had a 2-bedroom apartment in the back of a Union 76 gas station. So
I remember you told me about this a little
yeah, I
bit.
was kind of like the nighttime security guy. And then I would also haul the trash to the dump like once a week for the guy. And for doing all of that, he gave me rent for $200 a month. So it was pretty affordable. My dad and my sisters and his mom, his wife Irene, and my sisters Ariana, Tanya, they lived a few miles down the road, and so I was kind of close to them. And I didn't meet him till I was getting ready to graduate. You know that story, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of one of those, and I don't know, I just kind of thought, I lied to you. The last job I had was
Yeah.
I worked in a lumber yard.
Yeah, you're not lying. You're remembering.
Well,
I mean, there's a lot going on, right? I think
Yeah.
like I've only worked at
yeah.
Taco Bell
Mm-hmm.
to Seville to
Mhm.
to Kona to High Tide, right? It's only like
Yeah.
4 jobs, and there's
Yeah.
a couple things in there that I don't consider really working at other
Right.
places, but
No, I worked for Homestead Lumberyard in Wasilla. I believe it's still there, and they taught me some serious skills. Like I could cut pipe, thread it. I could look at a stack of wood and tell you the linear board feet of that foot. I memorized it.
yeah,
I was really getting good, and so
it seemed like you were at least the jobs
Mhm.
I find that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
They come to me like no, it's
Mhm.
easy,
Yeah.
and
No, that was a super hard job, but I was again, I've
you
just
enjoyed
been,
the people you work
I
with.
was the youngest guy, like the
Yeah.
kid, and everybody kind of likes that, they
Mhm.
take care of that kid, and so, but man, they taught me how to drive multiple types of forklifts, driving big trucks.
That's so illegal now.
I know.
That's what's so amazing.
And then finally, they taught me, so I would get an order from the cash desk,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have to fill this order, load it, strap it down on the back of a big ass
Semi.
yeah, international, and they taught me how to deliver that. I didn't have a CDL. I would deliver that to the job site.
I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
You know how they taught me to deliver it? So I'd deliver it, I'd unstrap it, put the straps away, and then I would lift the bed of it would lift up.
Mm-hmm.
The wood would slide out, and then I just haul ass from underneath it.
Oh
And
my God.
it would crash down on the ground, and they were all happy. They got their stuff, and I would put my truck, put the truck bed back down, and it was just so cool.
Yeah.
They really trusted me.
Yeah.
And I got to where I could, drive anything they had, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, I didn't even have a CDL. How did I do that?
No, that's hilarious.
But yeah, that was technically my last job because I enlisted in the Army in Eagle River. So no recruiter talk. I mean, every now and then in high school, you kind of get those letters. I think somebody sent me a pair of socks that said Army, like a scam gift. So I was kind of motivated, but I always grew up knowing my dad was in the Army.
Yeah.
And so I was, and for some reason it was put in my head that he wasn't a good soldier. So I felt like I need to redeem our name. I need to go in and serve my country. And
That's so funny.
but but the real reason I joined the Army is I was bored. I looked around, I thought there's got to be more to life than this. I don't feel prepared for life. I was raised with a single mom most of my life. I thought I don't even know what it is to be a man. That kind of thing.
Even though you were doing all these
It was just
masculine jobs.
right. Yeah, exactly. But you think you're never good enough,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I thought I got to join the Army. So I did. I went in. I went to them. I spoke to the recruiter.
Your coffee, by the way, is right above your left elbow
Okay,
too. So
excellent. So yeah, I spoke to the recruiter again. They set me up in Anchorage to go take the test. This time I took the test as an 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And
How'd you do on your ASVAB?
I did good. I mean, I could do anything I wanted, but they pushed me into being a military policeman. I went there to become a Green Beret because my dad was a Green Beret. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. But then he showed me this video propaganda
Yep.
of these military police guys on the back of they come ripping around. They're in a Jeep and they got a mounted M60 machine gun, and they're just tearing it up with
And
that
you're
M60.
like, I'm sold.
I'm like, yeah, I'm good. That's what I want. I want to.
You're a fucking kid too.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I want to do that. Just shoot a machine gun all day long.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. So, military police was your first job then?
Military police in the Army was my first job, which, yeah, so they send me to Fort McClellan, Alabama. Anniston, Alabama is where that fort's shut down now.
Yeah.
But here I am in the deep South. That was at one point that was a segregated base, where blacks were on one side and whites were on the other, and our drill sergeants were all black, and they would march us and run us out to these places, stop and give us a little history lesson. It was mind blowing to me.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And that was like, what, you probably like a decade before you joined or something like that?
No, it was segregated in this. I think it was segregated, like definitely in the history of that fort, but
Because you were 18, you were born in 66. It had to
Yeah.
have been in the 60s, would be my guess. Or towards the end of its lifespan.
I don't think. Man, I guess in Vietnam they were still dealing with some of that, so you might be right.
That's so fucking mind-boggling.
Isn't
to
that
me.
weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Ed were talking about that. I said, no, Ed, this whole glass ceiling thing with women and stuff, you're seeing more and more women just in powerful positions. I said, that's really cool. I said, but in a way, the military's always been ahead of these social changes. Like, where else can you serve in the military, be a woman or be a different race, and you make the same money as a white guy?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And I just thought, that the military is such a fair place. It still can, which is crazy, is there still can be abuses there.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not going to get away from that anywhere you go.
And there is an issue with everybody being a white general versus not very, just, did you know?
Female or,
Yeah,
or minority
and
generals.
I just read yesterday that for the first time, a female captain is commanding a Navy submarine. So here it is, 2022, and we just now are getting, a female. And I guarantee that '06 commander,
Mm-hmm.
she's probably got a PhD in some kind of nuclear fusion or something.
So she's highly educated.
Highly educated,
Yeah.
probably just a super serious, dedicated, hardcore, probably a great leader, man.
Yeah.
but it took till 2022 to make that happen, which is really odd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just the fucking life we live in.
The military, what's cool about the military is you think you joined to be a military policeman, right? Like I thought, yeah, I'm gonna just be like a, I'm gonna be out there just busting criminals and so on and so forth. And man, I was like, we did so much just maintenance, vehicle maintenance, cleaning the barracks, picking up trash outside. And they would, if the post commander or sergeant major needed some support, they'd get a bunch of military policemen to go do it. I
What,
was
were you
like,
just the grunt then?
you turn out to be just kind of like just a worker, and then you go into your cycle where you're on the road, law enforcement, security. I got to do all the missions of the military police. I got to work law enforcement operations. I got to do what they call static security, like entry control, route reconnaissance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed my MOS from military police to corrections officer, and I got to work in military prisons.
Yuck.
Yeah, I did a lot of AWOL. I worked for court liaison. I'd go out and pick up deserters and eight guys that were AWOL. That was and you're walking around, and you're just super young in your 20s with a loaded weapon,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah, you feel you
so
feel
much
powerful, right?
so much responsibility. Yeah, you feel like you're a little, yeah, you really have to kind of humble yourself because you can lose your mind.
Yep.
And then I got to be a security guard, a personal bodyguard for the Supreme Allied Commander,
Mm-hmm.
and they taught me a lot of cool things. And
So how long were you an MP then?
I was an MP for about 8 years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, and were you deployed during those 8 years too then?
I got deployed to Panama from Fort Bragg to Panama.
And you were in Panama for how many months, 2 years?
I was only in Panama for about a little over a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that
And
kind of cool though?
it was, yeah, it was very cool because I would think about my dad in Vietnam in the jungle, and I thought, geez,
Grandpa Al is heavy on your mind.
well, I was like, man, I'm in the jungle,
Yeah.
What scared me was Megan was newborn, and I thought, man, I'm gonna die in Panama, and my daughter's not gonna know who I am, and
Yeah.
that really kind of just unnerved me quite a bit.
And why did you go to Panama in the first place? What was going on over there?
Well, President Reagan was our president at that time, and Noriega, Emmanuel Noriega was, I don't know, it's the relations between the United States and
Panama.
Noriega got bad.
Yeah.
And so he was, I don't know, he started messing with our military. He was capturing them, detaining them, being aggressive, and he was kind of a drug cartel guy.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
that.
so you were just the show of force event, like
So we went down
probably.
there as a show. Yeah. So what's interesting is the military police brigade has more weapons than the infantry. But people don't know that. So whenever they deploy the military police, you'll see it. It happens today. They deploy the military police. It's a show of force, just like you said. It seems like it's less aggressive, but we go in there highly weaponized.
Yeah.
And then just ready, kind of almost. They always say the Marines and the infantry, they're like the tip of the spear, but before they deploy those they go in and they want the military police to collect intelligence, to kind of show off. It's very dangerous because they taught us. Do you know what civil disturbance operations are?
No.
You know,
I'm right in front of you, by the way.
oh, you are?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Oh.
sounds like I'm to the right though, because my mic.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I feel like you're whispering in my ear.
Yeah.
So the civil disturbance operations, which they trained us in Panama, were the shields, the body armor, the batons, the big huge batons.
Uh-huh.
And so they teach you how to quell a riot.
Quell or
Yeah,
like what?
like have
to
you
just
seen
stop a
Have you
riot?
seen on TV with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff?
And they got the guys in their
Yeah,
riot shields and the
they're
riot gear.
yeah, they're marching forward towards the crowd.
Yeah.
So that is such an organized event. It is not, it is so stressful. Every person has a job, and so the guys up front, their job is just to push forward as a unit. But then they'll just kind of, you'll if you see them crack open a little bit, that's to let somebody through, and then the snatch team behind
Yeah, and
just
they grab people.
pulverizes them. Yeah.
Well,
So they're looking for the ringleaders, the people,
hmm
the agitators, and it's
Yeah, yeah. I guess BLM is a prime example. We saw that
yeah,
quite a bit,
yeah,
where people were getting snatched up,
yeah, and
and the
just
same
yeah.
within Oregon.
Hmm.
But that wasn't so much riot teams. They had vans driving around that were all unmarked people, just snatching at people from the was it Portland?
Yeah, that's I don't know what kind of mitigation that is, but
I would imagine really illegal. That's
I don't know.
I
Well,
don't know
that
how that's legal at all.
it's but so you would have the guys with the shields up front, you'd have the snatch teams behind, and behind them you'd have the guys in the Humvees with their M60s,
Yeah,
and then you had guys and you had guys with rubber donuts on their weapons that they shoot you, and it's
it's
just
just like a
it
rubber ball.
it knocks you on your butt, and then high pressure water and just all kinds of different things to kind of quell a riot. But the reason they were rioting is because we were starving their country. We had, the sanctions, the economic sanctions had made it.
Oh, is it because this guy was just stopping us or stopping the use of the Panama Canal, or
So
it
it,
had to do with that? Would be
it
my guess.
some of all of that, but basically, the political relationship and the money flow stopped. Reagan just hit them hard, and so when we went down there, people weren't they were it's already a poor country, third world country, and then it was just impoverished.
Yeah, that's sad.
I arrested a 65-year-old man for stealing.
Fuck.
I caught him throwing a wallet in the trash can, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And sure enough, it was like somebody else's ID in there, and he had taken all the money, but he had a family to feed,
Yeah,
and I kind of had some empathy for that, but I still had to take him in. And then
you're
mhm.
a follower of your job.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to, I had to, I had to arrest him. But yeah, we did some jungle training there, and we patrolled the jungles. And so, like my thoughts would go back to the soldiers in Vietnam. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
damn, I'm in the jungle, man. We had sloths kicking back in the trees, and
That's fucking cool.
caiman alligators, the little
Yeah,
caiman in the streams that we'd have to wade through, and it's just big ass tarantulas and
bugs in general.
oh man,
Yeah.
like you would be in your fighting position at nighttime, and you would hear things, and you would swear they're coming at you, and it's just a bug bouncing off bamboo and stuff. Like, oh my God, but it was crazy.
So, what was the coolest thing you saw then while you were there, or did you have like a day where you weren't working and you can go off base and kind of explore a bit?
I mean, I got to see both sides of the canal, the peninsula, you get the Atlantic and the Pacific side. I got to do both. We did airborne operations where we learned how to jump, our parachutes into the water,
That's pretty cool.
and then you can get tangled up really quick in your suspension lines. So
Mm-hmm.
they taught us how to
Get out of that.
manage that situation, and that was pretty cool. It was so great being a paratrooper in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I don't know. I had some moments where I was like I had bad communications one night. I was with my squad, and I was patrolling an air base down there, and I was the only guy out there patrolling with my soldiers. And we're patrolling the defense line, and all of a sudden I see a Panamanian Defense Force guy right
Mm-hmm.
there at the fence, and he's motioning me over, and I'm like, oh, what do I do about this, But I can't get a hold of my commanders
Yeah,
yeah,
communications.
so the radio's broke. What I didn't know is they were stressed out because they thought I was lost. They thought I'd been abducted, possibly by the PDF, and so I was like, oh God. So I'm having comms problems, but we're working on the comms, but we're still doing our job. And so I see this guy waving us down. I go over there and I tell my guys, okay, guys, I'm going to go up in front. You guys lock and load. I want somebody in the turret on the 60. I put some guy in charge of that. I said, lock and load. If this guy does anything crazy, waste him,
Yeah.
you know, and don't worry about me, that kind of thing. So I go up there, and And I get up to the fence, and he goes, just being really kind of polite, and I'm looking around. I'm nervous as hell,
Yeah, because you don't fucking know.
Right,
And then
right.
you've probably been led to believe that shit's crazy over there.
It was crazy,
Yeah.
but you have people that are loyal and people that want the hell out, but they're trapped.
Yeah.
And so this guy, the first thing when he walked up there, he goes, "Fuck Noriega," and I go, "Yeah, yeah." So, so I go, "Yeah, I understand." He just wanted to check in with me, just say,
Make sure you're chilling.
he just said, "Listen, we're not, in his best way, he communicated to me, we're not all about this. This guy's a nut, he's ruining our country." And that to me, I thought, again, I went back to like people in Vietnam, because I was like, gosh, is this what it's like to be in Saigon? And
I mean,
you're
but
surrounded by your enemies, but some of them are friendly, and you're like, Jesus, so stressful.
yeah, we're also
Uh,
wrapped up in
yeah,
just teams.
yeah.
It's so goofy.
So when I got back in the morning when the patrol was over, I got back. I gave they call it a situation report. I gave that update to my commander, to my leaders, and then one day I was working entry control, and a whole family came up to me and wanted political asylum. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy crap! They didn't brief us on that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do with the family?
Yeah.
So I just called my commander, and the next thing I know, we had military police intelligence, MPI, and CID come out, and they took them.
That's awesome.
So,
I hear like
mhm,
I don't know. I love like
mhm.
Latin culture in general.
Right? No, no.
I guess that's why I'm engaged to Myra.
The women are definitely beautiful. I definitely maybe that's
It's just very communal too. That's where it's like I
they're
think
just so sexy, man. They just
that's what
they
I,
just dress up like tight clothes
you're
and look.
hilarious. I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about family things. You're
yeah.
talking about sexy
No,
women.
they are communal. They are tribal in their very family oriented, which you have to respect that. But no, what I saw was just all these women doing their very best to get the hell out of Panama, dressing up, looking hot, coming to the clubs. I think they were motivated. Maybe they'll get an American man and then get the
Yeah.
hell out of Panama. So,
Well, I'm
but
sure some of them did
yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's just
So yeah, I think
that's even fucking crazy too to
mhm,
think about that. You got,
yeah,
where their thoughts aren't I want to find a partner. Their thoughts are I want to get a
yeah,
partner to go to this country. But we are like
hmm
this is where it's so fucked up. If we're so accessible to a Western society,
hmm
any European country, any Canadian, any Australian, anything that's been impacted by Britain, but all the Spanish and uh, Latin cultures were pretty inaccessible to.
right,
Sad,
yeah, no,
but and then we like to say
hmm
rapists and all this shit, and it blows my mind. Where I'm like,
right,
come on.
right. The last mission in Panama for me, my platoon was tasked with some security for a high level person close to Noriega
Mm-hmm.
who needed to be extracted.
Yeah.
And so it was the craziest thing. So they briefed us on what we were going to do, and our platoon's job was to literally surround this man.
Mm-hmm.
And um and so we had he was in the middle of us, so snipers would be killing us, not him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took him to a helicopter, and he jumped in the helicopter, and they just took him away. and
Wild.
i and I we never you never there's no follow-up for that. It's
Yeah,
just
you just have no idea. You're just following your orders.
mission accomplished, good to go, nobody died, we're happy, but stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, especially you're probably being like, I can just imagine the briefing. You guys are protecting this guy,
hmm
and you're going to be the first ones to get killed if it happens.
exactly, you guys you're just a human shield for
Yeah,
this
you're
guy.
just on fucking
And we
edge.
were all down for it. We're like, yeah, let's do it, man. I mean, we didn't have a choice, but
It is such a young man's job.
yeah, because you don't think about consequences. You just do,
Yeah,
and you want to be a hero, and it's just cool. I mean, you're like, wow, this is cool. Like a lot of times, whenever I was in the military, I would have these pause moments where I was outside of myself, looking at the situation and thinking, "Holy crap, I'm really doing this." You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, it was weird, you know, because as a kid, you know, you play army,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you play cops and robbers, you know, you do all that, and then all of a sudden you grow up to do these things, and you're like, wow, you know, my child life, you know, my childhood kind of imitated my future,
Mm-hmm.
and here I am doing it. It was pretty awesome. You
Yeah,
know, for a guy that's 56, I feel like I've had a
a pretty eventful life.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I've been to different countries and
And
different.
so at this point in Panama, Megan was just born.
Megan was yeah, brand new
So
baby girl.
and you were married for how many years? Like a
Um,
year?
yeah, it was just barely a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, right around a year. And yeah, she wasn't even walking when I left. She was crawling around and just big blue eyes, you know. You know how she looks right now. I can imagine just that. That's she must be similar, except she
Yeah.
had the baby face, you know.
Yeah.
No hair. She didn't have hair.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we would put like these little hair bands on her, you know, pink little hair bands
But
and
with
stuff.
no hair.
Yeah, she
It's
had.
just the spandex or whatever with a little flower in it or
It's just a
something.
little, it'll have a little rose and then like a little pink thing and wrap around her head, and
Mm-hmm.
it was really just to keep those. First of all, made her look cute and pretty, but it was I kind of looked at it like, okay, this will prevent some of those stupid questions like, what is it? You know, like I hated that question. Like, oh, what is it? I'm like, well, it is a girl.
Yeah.
You see the hairband? You know,
That's fucking
Jesus
hilarious.
Christ. You know, but that used to bother me. But no, she, yeah, she,
That's fucking hilarious.
yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I tried briefing your mom and saying, "Hey, we're going to Fort Bragg. It's going to be intense." And I had heard all the horror stories about, um, you know, you deploy and your family doesn't know where you're at. You don't know when it's going to happen. And man, sure enough, when you're in a rapid deployment force location like Fort Bragg, and that happened constantly. We were alerted
Mm-hmm.
and we'd be gone for 7 days. And
Yeah.
your mom would be like,
What the hell?
she had no idea where I was at. I had no way to tell her. We didn't have cell phones back then. If we did, we wouldn't be allowed to use them. But they would concertina wire off our company location, stop all communications. They would remove the talking piece from all the phones, the direct landlines,
Mm-hmm.
and you would just be locked down. Sometimes it was for training, sometimes it was for real world events.
And this is all during your MP days?
This is during my Fort Bragg time, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I remember I was gone. One of those events happened. I came home and got home, and all the lights were off. And I walked in the trailer, and because your mom and Megan joined me later. You know, I got there first. I got settled in. I went and found us a home, got it all set up, and then your mom. It seemed like your mom came. I picked her up from the airport, got her home. She couldn't have been there for even a week, and all of a sudden I deployed on one of those alerts
Fuck.
and I get home. So she doesn't know anybody. I don't even think we had a car at that point.
Thank God mom was in the military though,
Right,
because she had at least an inkling of understanding.
right.
And I tell this to every executive chef I ever like deal with, where
Hmm.
I'm like, thank God your wife was a server at one point, because it's just a whole nother understanding your partner has
Right,
from working in the field or industry
right.
with you.
Yeah, so I walked in the door, buddy, and all the lights are off, and I looked around. And I see your mom in a recliner holding Megan, just rocking back and forth. And she didn't say hi. She didn't say hello. She said, Tom, I don't think I'm gonna like Fort Bragg. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I told you. I didn't know it was gonna be like this instant, you know?
Yeah,
But that happened frequently where you always got the phone call. It seemed like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the instructions would be alert.
yeah,
That's it, alert. You know, they don't tell you why, when, or where. You just get all your combat gear and go.
yeah.
And you know, and sometimes it was 7 days, sometimes 3 days, sometimes just 24 hours. But you know, one time, in one particular time, it was the real deal. We were going to Panama.
Mm-hmm.
They put us on, you know, C-141, and
Went.
yeah, we flew to Honduras and we stayed in Honduras for just a little bit, I think probably to refuel, and get situated before we went into Panama, and then boom, we went into Panama.
How wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was exciting and stressful, and good memories now, but at the time, just so many uncertainties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last thing I would say about Panama is um, that is the first time I think I realized my mortality, and that's the only like I was afraid. I I was afraid to die because I didn't want to have Megan, at the time, grow up without knowing me.
Yeah.
So I discovered, as early on, being a dad, a huge responsibility, but it makes you fear things.
Did you when Megan was born, did you feel like this new drive as a person? Like, some people.
So what was really interesting to me is I really wanted to be a dad, and I really wanted to be a husband. I was, trust me, I was on steroids wanting all this compared to your mom. But what was interesting to me is as soon as Megan was born, this transformation
And
that,
mom.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the bonding that took place between her and Megan, and I felt just like Tom still, and I was like, God,
Nothing really
yeah,
changed
I mean,
mentally for you.
no, I was
Like you were expecting at least.
so it took me a little bit. Like, I always knew I had to be responsible and I had to protect and provide. I knew the basics of it,
Yeah.
and I knew that stuff. I mean, but I was like, wow, I thought I was going to feel different,
Yeah.
and that took a long time. But eventually, what happened with Megan, so I realized when she couldn't communicate but just cry or look at you, and you didn't know, like, she was probably saying, I'm hungry, or I'm uncomfortable, my diaper needs changed. Or the thing that would get me is if she fell and hurt herself, and I would start to tremble instantly, like, I'm so sorry, you're hurting, but it'll get better, just you have to kind of suffer, right? But how do you say that to a little kid? You just, all you do is hold them, and
Well, I know, and you're
yeah,
also
right,
brand new to the job, and
right,
that's so new to
right.
you. So
Yeah, so what happened though is I went through a little bit of like, I don't know what you call it, kind of psychosomatic conditioning, where if she cut herself, like bled or something, I would instantly start to tremble and shake and be like, oh my God, like I was afraid of it. But it was because I was helpless
yeah.
and I couldn't make her stop suffering. So that she totally transformed me. It just wasn't instant like I saw in Megan and her mom. It was instant. Like, your mom just was so nurturing, and Megan knew just what to do, how to feed herself instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom just barely had to put her head down by her, and boom, she latched on, and
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's powerful. But yeah, your mom just completely grew up instantly before my eyes. And I was like, God, man, I'm still 21, I'm just this guy. So I was a little jealous of that bond that they had in the beginning, but it came in time,
Yeah, all
where,
due time.
yeah,
And
right, yeah,
7 kids later.
exactly, yeah, exactly, yeah, totally. But yeah, that's, I hope you guys, all of you, get to realize your dreams, because
Mm-hmm.
I did. I mean, I did get to realize my dream. My dream was to travel, to go to Germany, to serve in the army, and to have a family, to be a husband. But I had wanted to have a family since I was probably 13 years old,
Yeah.
so that was, for me to realize that dream
It happened. Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure.
So after what is it? After Panama, what happened?
Got sent back. Well, what happened is your mom was so pissed. So when they deployed me to Panama, they took me out of leadership school. I was in leadership school. I had 1 week before I was gonna
Graduate.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's pretty challenging leadership school. And the command sergeant major was so upset. He's like, Sergeant Hicks, I can't believe your unit says you're mission essential and you have to deploy with them. They won't give you one more week to complete. He goes, so what my commitment to you is when you get back, you don't have to wait. We'll get you into the next school. But he goes, unfortunately, you have to start all over again.
That's fucking whack.
So it did suck. But he was true to his word. I got back and I was able to go right into the next leadership academy, and I finished on the commandant's list,
Yeah.
Your mom was instrumental in getting me out of Panama. She was so upset.
What, she like raising hell or something?
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna deploy my husband after he, because I was in between. What happened was I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, you're you're gonna send this guy into combat, and he's already, you already know he has this eye condition.
Yeah.
Because what happened was I was struggling at nighttime. We do everything at nighttime in the military. We jump out of airplanes at nighttime. We patrol at nighttime. Everything.
Yeah.
And I was a squad leader, and so I was frequently losing sight of my platoon sergeant and the other squads when I was leading the soldiers.
Wild.
Yeah, so your mom, but she prevailed. She got me pulled out of Panama. That's why I was only there for like a little over a month. But did a lot in a month. It was a good experience, and I was so grateful to come home, be with her, and be with Megan. And then what happened was the military said, hey, we know you have this eye condition, but you still meet the standards to be retained. So we're going to retrain you. So they taught me how to be a corrections officer. So they put me in working inside of military prisons.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what happened after Panama.
So how long were you doing corrections officer work?
Another 4 years. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
So that puts you at 12 years in total.
No. So I was a military policeman, law enforcement, what they call physical security, personal bodyguard. I did all the missions.
Yeah.
I was lucky. And then I went into corrections. So all told, I was in law enforcement, whether it was direct law enforcement or corrections, for about 8 years.
Okay.
That's when I was enlisted. So I was a private, went all the way up to staff sergeant promotable. And then my commander, my company commander, a guy named Mark Harmon, my battalion commander, a guy named Bruce Conover, and my brigade commander, Colonel Campbell, my two command sergeant, they all recommended me for officers candidate school. So I put in a packet for officers candidate school. I keep looking over here because I feel like you're right. Yeah, it's trippy.
Yeah.
But so I put in this packet, and man, I got accepted. I couldn't believe it. So you asked me, how good was your ASVAB score? Good enough to become an officer.
So what is, like, describe officer candidate school? Because I literally don't even know what that means to me.
So so what it is, it's 100 days of hell.
Yeah.
It's not about teaching you to be an officer. It's about weeding you out. So all of us were top-notch enlisted folks. We were all selected. We applied. We had what it took. Now we just had to prove it to this cadre of officers and senior enlisted men.
Yeah.
That we had what it took to become a lieutenant. So they didn't teach us how to be an officer. It was what they call branch immaterial training. It was all infantry based. It was at Fort Benning, Georgia. And it was just every day was chaos. Everybody, they broke all of us, every single one of us, man and woman, they got in our head, and only about 40% of us made it through the first time.
Okay.
Some of them would get recycled. Some of them would never
come back.
Never come back. Yeah. So it was such an honor,
And then so after that, you were promoted to officer then?
So after that, I got commissioned. Your mom promoted me at Fort Benning to second lieutenant, right there by the Infantry Hall of Fame. in the Officer Candidate School Hall of Fame in front of the big flagpole. She promoted me to second lieutenant
at Fort Benning where
at
Mark
Fort. Yeah,
graduated.
exactly. Yeah,
Wild.
well, it was wild, and that's seriously, that's where he was created. Yeah, because I hadn't seen your mom. I hadn't seen your mom for months,
That's
and
the conception of Mark at Fort Benning.
literally that's why it was so emotional for me when he was born. He was conceived at Fort Benning, and then to come back and watch him graduate was mind blowing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just melted my brain, because I was like, wow. Because one night, this guy, Mark Jackson, his name was Mark Andre Jackson, and he was such a great soldier and a good leader and just a good human. I loved him.
Yeah.
And we became buddies. And one night, he and I were working staff duty officer together. And I said, Mark, if I make it out of here, I'm going to name my next son after you. And he just said, oh, he goes, okay. He didn't, I think he thought I was full of shit. But literally, like the day Mark was born, I called him up and said, hey, buddy, Mark Andre Hicks is in the house. He is here. I did it.
That is funny.
Yeah, so
Mark was just destined to go into the fucking military.
Well, in a weird way. Like, it's like kind of weird how I can't explain it, but out of all the kids to go in the military, why would he do that, Like,
because his name's Mark Andre.
Right, exactly. And and he was very good. I think he was underwhelmed, a little under-challenged, and very disappointed about his Arizona National Guard experience. The best thing that happened to him was his preparation and deployment to Iraq. He loved that part of it, I believe. I know he missed his family, and I know that strained the hell out of his marriage. I don't know if any of that is worth it, but when I talk to him, he's pretty proud of that experience.
Oh, and as he should be.
Yeah. So I'm super proud of him too. Listen, the military's not easy. It's it's a sacrifice, because you have to, you pretty much, your life is a blank check, and you say, here, Uncle Sam. And you know how jacked up Uncle Sam is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Politicians lead it. Politicians make decision. Your leaders that are over you could be very ignorant or incompetent. And
or just, there's always special interests involved too.
Right. And you gotta suck it up, keep your mouth shut, and do what you're told.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing, especially.
It sucks.
Yeah. But he did it well, and I was super proud of him.
So that brings us on to Mark Andre. When let's backtrack though, because Tommy's number 2.
Right.
Where were you during Tommy?
Fort Lewis. Yep. Fort Lewis. That's a great story, because by that time I had become a corrections officer, and I was a guard commander.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was running the prison as a shift leader and in charge of the guard force and 200 inmates. A lot of responsibility as a young guy. I think I was 23 at the time. Your mom was pregnant with Thomas, and if I could backtrack just a little bit, when we were still at Fort Bragg, I woke up one night, or at least I thought I woke up, but so I was dreaming.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I could smell eucalyptus. I could smell it. Have you ever smelled it?
Of course.
Like mentholatum, right?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Right. It's a clean.
Or it's a beautiful smell.
It's a clean, healthy smell, but that's what my grandfather smelled like. Jack Kelly Smith. He always smelled like that. He was a masseuse.
Mm.
And so my big regret when I married your mom was that he didn't get to see her, or he didn't get to see Megan, or he didn't get to know about any of that. So it must have been really powerful for me, because one night I had a dream. I woke, in your dream, think about it. How many times in your dream have you ever smelled anything? I can't think of it.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
But I smelled this eucalyptus, and it stirred me, and I got up, I got out of bed, and I walked down the hallway where we were living, and there he was. He was standing right there in the hallway, dressed just like he always was. He always wore a white t-shirt, slacks with a belt, like he's getting ready to massage somebody, like Mr. Clean. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he turned, and I followed him into the kitchen, and I went into the kitchen. Inside the kitchen, it was very well lit, bright, like sunny.
Mm-hmm.
And at the window was a crib. and we both were standing in front of the crib, and it was a blonde, blue-eyed boy. We were staring.
This is the most like, what the fuck kind of dream is this?
It's just like, and I look at my grandpa, and he looks at me, and we both look down at the boy, and he looked back at me, and he goes, "He's beautiful." And I said, "Thank you." And then we sat down at a table, and Uncle Tom was there, but he was crying the whole time. He was crying, and I didn't understand. He was super sad, and like he was there, but in the distance.
Yeah.
But then all three of us sat down, and we started eating a meal together, and it was a red, white, checkered tablecloth on like a picnic table.
Yeah.
We ate spaghetti and lemon meringue pie. It was just so detailed. And I never understood why Uncle Tom
Or any of that happened.
Right,
That's
yeah.
just a wild dream.
well, it was intense. Like I could still remember it vividly now. And then I what I did is I got up and I, the next day when I woke up, I realized, oh my God, that was a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I called my mom. I said, "Mom, check this out." And I explained everything to her. And she goes, "Wow." And I go, "What?" She goes, "Well, I never, because they didn't want me to know that Grandpa was having all these problems or dying. I was in Germany, so they kind of kept me in the dark."
Yeah.
And so what happened was he'd fallen a couple times and got really in bad
Messed
shape,
up, yeah.
strokes and stuff like that. And so he got put into a nursing home because my grandmother couldn't care for him.
Yeah.
And so when she went to visit him, the last meal he had was spaghetti and lemon meringue pie, man. And she never told me that. So I've always thought there's a psychic connection to me and my grandfather a little bit,
How wild.
I know it's trippy. But lo and behold, we leave Fort Bragg and we drive across country on I-40 in a 1988 Ford Taurus. Just the three of us, me, Megan, and your mom.
Mm-hmm.
We get to Fort Lewis. We check in there. I get to my new assignment, and I'm playing. I'm playing full contact football for the law enforcement brigade. And I get home from football practice one night. I pull in. I'm just beat up and tired, and we lived upstairs in Parkland, Washington. And your mom opened the door and said, "Get up here. I'm going to have this baby tonight." And I was like, no, it's okay. We can go right now. And she goes, "No, take a shower. I made you dinner, eat." I'm like, "No, Deb, it's all right. Let's go." And she goes, "No, your mom had got herself all dolled up. Her nails were perfect, her hair perfect, makeup. I mean, she's looking good, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Because her OBGYN doctor was some handsome guy. And she didn't want to look nasty because she felt embarrassed about her pictures that she had when Megan was born. So if you get a chance, look at the pictures of Megan and look at Tommy, and you'll see a drastic difference. Your mom looking great. So
so hilarious.
but she did not want to wait. She didn't. So she suffered. So I'm eating dinner, rushing as fast as I can, hearing her in between contractions just agonize. And I'm like, Deb, are you? She's just eat, and I'll get through it. And she's breathing and doing. I'm rushing. I'm eating. I jump in the shower. We grab the bag. Everything was kind of pre-packed. We pre-registered. We jump in the car, and I haul ass. I'm thinking, okay, if I get pulled over, we'll get a police escort, because my wife's getting ready to have a baby. We pull into the hospital there, Army Madigan Medical Center. It's before it was the brand new big multi-story building. It was a World War II single-story multi-complex place.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, so we checked in, and they were like, "Okay, you guys just go have a seat." And I was like, this is not my wife's first baby. She's going to have this baby soon. And the guy was like, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
We hear this all night long.
Yeah.
So he sits us down, and I check your mom. She's sweating. Her stomach feels like concrete every time she's contracting. So I'm like, God damn it. I get up and I go, "Hey, somebody needs to check her out right now. She is going to have a baby."
Yeah,
so they
normal Army health.
Right, yeah. So they put us in a labor and delivery observation room to kind of, I guess, appease me. So while we're in there, the guy comes in and he's tightening up and he's moving, and they're just kind of placating us still, not realizing that she is in labor.
Mm-hmm.
And Debbie, while he's in there, he's like an E4, like a specialist. And Debbie goes, "I've got to push. He goes, please don't do that, man. Please. So literally, we weren't even there for, I think, 30 or 40 minutes, and your mom's already being wheeled into delivery room. That's how fast she progressed, and
Jeez.
that's how long she waited. We get in there, boom, she has Thomas. He comes out, amazing. I got a daughter, I got a son. I'm thinking, I'm perfect. I can end my life right here. I've done my job. I got a boy and a girl. We're good. The Hicks
name will prevail.
the Hicks lineage is going to go on.
Yeah.
Your mom literally within an hour, she's up, walking around, peeing, looking good, got her nails done, hair done. She is something else, that lady, So I was like, wow, this Debbie. Crazy. Yep. So that's how he was born, September 27th, getting ready to have I think it's his 33rd birthday
Yeah.
coming up here.
Yeah, he's right around the corner.
Yep. So, yep, that's how he came into our life.
So was every one of us conceived on an army base?
Let me think of, so Megan was conceived in the army in Germany, but and on an army base, but she was born in a naval base, Oak Knoll Naval Base.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas was definitely conceived at Fort Bragg and delivered at Fort Lewis. So his life was, and then Mark,
Same thing.
Fort Benning,
Yeah.
delivered at Fort Lewis. Ruthie, Fort Lewis. You, Fort Lewis, but delivered at home.
Yeah, because mom was tired of the hospitals.
She just, your mom just thought, I can do better. I can be more comfortable. I can be less stressed. And we hired 2 midwives. And, Ruthie, I'm trying to think. Yeah, everything was pretty normal with Ruth, just Fort Lewis. I think she might have been the first one born in the new fancy hospital that's there.
I just thought of a great tattoo idea for all of us.
What?
Let's do the military bases.
Well, those are huge. You mean the name of them?
Yeah, that's it, right?
Right.
Just get those tatted on you somewhere, and
Right.
that's like where you're.
That is a good idea.
Kind of funny.
I should think about how to
All the military bases. Man.
Well, I mean, that's a lot.
Thank God you were married.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. But you were born in what, in Tacoma.
Yeah.
But it was Spanaway Lake. So the part of Tacoma we lived in was called Spanaway Lake. Very close to McChord Air Force Base in Fort Lewis.
And so at that point, so with me, you were still in the military.
Yep.
So how long after?
You were my last kid in the military. So I was active duty still. I was in the military. I was a second lieutenant.
And you were 31.
Yep.
Years old at this point.
Right. Yep. Yep. And
so in between Panama and me, I guess, or when you were 31, did you have any other deployments?
No. What happened was when I was a corrections officer, the Mississippi National Guard deployed to Fort Lewis, and we trained them to conduct EPW, enemy prisoner of war operations.
Oh,
so we trained them to get all ready to go to the Persian Gulf.
Okay.
So and I was, everything in the military is like a needs thing. So they have certain positions, certain ranks, things they're looking for. I was on a volunteer short list as a staff sergeant to deploy to the Persian Gulf, but my unit wasn't going anywhere. It was a stationary prison.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a combat mission, but our combat mission was what they called garrison support. So we trained all the National Guard, the reservists, on enemy prisoner of war operations, and then we would just once they went through their training cycle, they'd deploy to Kuwait. So that's what happened. Yeah. So no, I didn't. Nope. The only time I deployed again would be to the National Training Center as a second lieutenant. I went there for 2 months.
Where's that at?
Fort Irwin, California, the Mojave Desert.
Okay.
Yeah, so I trained there as a combat controller. So what happened was I trained a whole artillery battalion from Colorado, Fort Carson, Colorado, and I would follow the fire direction center around and make sure that they were doing things tactically sound.
Yeah.
And then when they would have a fire mission, I would clear their fires because everything's live fire. You're
Yeah, it's real practice.
it's the real deal. So
Yeah.
you're coordinating air, land, everything. And so I needed to make sure that all their computations were safe, and that when I would move the minimum safe line, I would move it forward. So there's a lot of responsibility as a young second lieutenant, but it taught me a lot about what they call the combined arms campaign. Where your air, land, and combat support, combat service support, all that's
Yeah, they're all
working together to fight the enemy.
Yeah, wild.
Yep. And so then what happened was after I was there a month, then my unit deployed there, and then I evaluated my unit going through. So, yeah.
So after that, how much longer until you medically retired?
Yeah. So right after that, I was, let me think. I was stationed at Alpha Battery. No, it was Service Battery. And I was a ammo platoon leader for 3rd Battalion, 11th Field Artillery in the Service Battery. And then I got sent to Alpha Battery in 3rd Battalion, 11th Field Artillery to be a fire direction officer. And a fire direction officer is the guy that computes all the targeting data for the bullets going downrange. The fire direction officer works with the forward observer and the infantry, the warrior, the war fighter, to provide fires, on the enemy. And so we'd have this process we got to go through to triangulate everything. And then I went from being a fire direction officer to a fire platoon leader, where I was responsible for 70 men, 4 howitzers, a fire direction center, an ammo platoon. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And then the Army was downsizing, so we deactivated the 3rd Battalion, 11th Field Artillery. I got sent to this 210th FA Brigade, and I was in headquarters and headquarters battery as a battery executive officer. Then I got sent to college. So my next assignment was Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the school brigade. But guess what? I never stepped foot in South Carolina. I mean, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I never was there. I was just there on paper. I went to school, stayed at Fort Lewis, and then once I got promoted to captain, I got sent to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, to go through the advanced course.
And so that brings us to AZ.
That's exactly what brought me to Arizona. And then at that point, I started injuring myself constantly. I was running into things and falling into ditches. And
so that's when your vision got just took a big shit.
Oh, real bad. Yeah, it just went very bad. Like, I remember we took your kids all for like Disneyland and stuff like that. And we drove down.
And so I was born, but I had been just a baby then.
You're a baby for sure. But we went to Disneyland, and then I took your mom and you kids to LAX.
Yeah.
And then I drove myself from LAX all the way to Fort Huachuca, not being able to read street signs.
Oh my God.
I couldn't read a street sign.
Fucking Christ.
And this is before GPS and all that stuff in your cars. So your mom was so nervous about me. And I had a physical. I had a 30-year physical.
And they said you were fine.
They said, yeah, I failed their color test. I didn't get one. It was 14 pallets. I couldn't, have you ever done a color test?
I don't think so.
It's like these.
It's where they kind of blend like orange and green. And
they
blue
camouflage numbers in them, and people with normal vision see them very easily.
Yeah.
I couldn't see a one of them.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a single one of them right. But they said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm going to be a military intelligence officer. I said, oh, you're fine. So they just, when you looked at my body or my health,
you're in tip-top shape.
Tip-top shape. Just my eyes they were starting to fail miserably. So they cleared me to go, but I remember when I dropped your mom and you kids off at LAX, she was so stressed out. She was like, "How is this guy gonna do it?" But
So, man, holy shit. So how long until so I guess how many years or months was it where your vision started stressing you out to where you finally medically retired?
well, I was always somebody different when it came to my vision. Like even in
Mm-hmm.
basic training, like always always struggling to see things, even with night vision goggles, and it's like, but I always had enough to eke by. Always
Yeah.
had enough, and I always, but it got to be a real problem by the time I was probably 27 or so,
Yeah.
just about that same time I was becoming an officer is just real bad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started kind of always hurting myself, tripping over things, knocking things over. Basically, I was that klutz, and everybody just thought it was funny.
Yeah. They're
They'd
just like, oh, he's just tripping.
yeah, they'd see me trip. They think, God, that guy's got two left feet. Or I'd walk into a briefing and I'd be totally blind for a second until my eyes accommodated, and I'd knock over a projector full of slides in front of the brigade commander.
No way.
Oh yeah,
God.
it'd be so embarrassing. Everybody'd
Fuck.
be laughing at me and shit, and be like, "I'm so sorry, sir." And they're like, "What the fuck, Hicks?" I mean, even so, when I was declared legally blind at Fort Huachuca, guess where they sent me? They
Well,
sent me to the first Special Forces group. I showed up to the first Special Forces group as a legally blind captain. I got there, I walked in, reported to the group commander as a full bird colonel. I said, "Sir, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be hogging up a healthy billet, but I'm legally blind and I guess I'm going to be medically retired." And he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Your priority is to your family and your health, and if you got anything left, it's for me." And I said, "Yes, sir." So they put me to work doing all kinds of special projects and stuff, and they let me go through that. I went through, what I do for the VA right now.
yeah.
I did that while I was a captain in the Army.
Okay.
I was on active duty. I went through that same program, and it's funny how it's full circle now. But yeah, that's what happened. I went through blind rehab as a captain, and I was in there for about 8 weeks. And on the weekends I'd come home and hang out with you guys, and then during the week I'd go back and train. And
So when you were diagnosed, or not diagnosed, but when you were like freshly medically retired, how long from then, like how long does it take from then to go to the VA and get to where you're at now?
took about 10 years. So I I thought being a captain, college graduate, you know, all that experience that I had would
Yeah.
just translate into,
Any civilian.
yeah, I just thought, man, I'll be picked up quick. And it just didn't pan out. I wasn't getting jobs. Nobody was. I had one headhunter because I went with a headhunter, and there was a position that was really good. It was Washington State Services for the Blind. It was their executive director position.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "You would be perfect for this job, but nobody's going to hire you because nobody knows you."
That's so wild.
So he goes, "I'm sorry. I'm just telling you how it is." I said, "All right, no problem." So yeah, it's funny because later on I ended up doing an internship, unpaid internship for that same agency at that same level as the executive
Yeah.
director internship. Um, but yeah, so that's it. It took me to get to where I'm at now. It took about 10 years of I had to get more education, certification. I had to, figure out a way to work,
And so you,
as a blind person.
so how old were you when you first started the VA?
Well, that was 15 years ago. So what was that, like 41 or so?
And so
Yeah.
when you started the VA, what position were you?
When they hired me, it was a visual impairment services team coordinator.
Okay.
So I show up to the job. The guy's name's Dr. Pyatt. He's the chief of primary care. He says, "Hey, you're the perfect man for this job." He goes, "Almost a dream come true." He goes, he handed me two position descriptions and says, "You're going to need to set up a clinic." And I was like, "Excuse me, sir? I don't have any experience with say." He goes, "Well, you'll figure it out." And he was right. We did. So
Yeah.
I established the Advanced Low Vision Clinic, and I started hiring people and buying equipment and buying vehicles. And I had to figure out all that bureaucracy, how to set up clinics.
So did you have like an initial budget too?
Oh yeah.
Like, what was your budget at the start?
Well, all I had to go was something called a memorandum of understanding between Department of VA and our hospital. And so what happened was they had 55 clinics to roll out, and they had doled out a certain amount of money to each hospital that was going to set up their clinics. So I don't remember what my budget was exactly, but it was constantly increasing, and they would tell me spend it all, spend it all. Like one day I got an email that said, "Hey, I'm sending you money to buy vehicles." Literally.
Yeah.
And so I had a week to buy 3 vehicles.
Oh, wild.
And I bought them. And guess what? I still have those 3 vehicles.
Yeah,
They're on their last leg,
But they're still going.
but they're still going. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so it was pretty so what happened was I was hired to just be the point of entry, a case manager for blind veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and then I became a VIS coordinator and a supervisor, and then I had to set up this clinic, and it evolved into the chief of blind rehab services.
Mm-hmm.
So and now
So are you the only Phoenix, like Arizona-based blind rehab department?
right.
Wild.
Yeah,
And so how many veterans do you treat every year? Or yeah, I guess every year.
well, I have right now. I have 820 veterans on my full-time caseload.
Wild.
I refer veterans, man, to outpatient and inpatient services. So inpatient services about over 100 a year. This year I'm at 135 that I referred to comprehensive inpatient. I refer anywhere from 200 to 500 veterans to outpatient services a year. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah, geez.
Yep.
And so do you think, like, how well did the Army leadership training you've got over those, like, man, 13, 14 years enlisted,
Well, the Army.
like, how did that transfer over to the VA?
So, well, first of all, the Army teaches you mission first, people always. So that you always have to be mission driven, and you gotta take care of people.
Yeah.
So I knew to do those things, and I knew that I wasn't going to get anything done if I didn't take care of people.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the VA way, the bureaucracy or the policies, the directives, and I was dealing with all of that blind. So it was overwhelming at times, but I knew if I just persevered, things would work out.
Yeah, and they obviously have.
And that's what happened. People stepped up, people helped me, people I don't know, fought for me to,
Yeah, you develop these networks and
right.
connections.
Yeah,
and-
so and all I had to do was keep trying, and that's the neat thing about the universe, I guess, is if you really try,
stuff works out.
if as long as you keep trying.
Yeah.
But as soon as you make excuses and just settle,
It all falls apart.
yeah, well, you just get what you get.
Yeah.
You're only going to rise to the level that you expect. So if you feel like you have the potential to do and be more, then you keep believing in that, and you keep persevering, and eventually, honestly, you'll manifest everything. I believe that wholeheartedly, because there was a time when I went blind, I thought, man, my life's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought the best days of my life are over.
Yeah.
This is going to be just awful. And then quite the opposite. Some of the best days of my life have been as a blind person. So
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was going to be like this, but it turned out this way.
Yeah, you just
So-
gotta take what life gives you, I guess.
Right.
That's like the best message I think anyone can learn.
Right. Well, I mean, that and the military does teach you, like, listen, your plan is only as good as the first bullet, Everything is flexible and adaptive, and, you just, and I really, I think I've told you this before. I didn't have a lot of plans. It was so circuitous, it was all over the place, but it all led somewhere.
Yeah.
And, my best advice to anybody is just preparation over opportunity equals success. Like if you're just not getting ready for something, then when opportunities come your way, you won't be ready.
Yeah.
So
No, that's the truth.
yeah. So just education, it unlocks so many doors for you, and it did for me. And I'm grateful that I feel like that's the kind of impact I've had in your lives. Education was important to me. It proved to be a good thing for me. I feel like within our family, it's proving to be a good thing for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
That seems to be the motivation for
yeah,
honestly everyone. Everyone talks about it.
right.
Mark talks about going back getting his bachelor's. I don't know if Tommy will, but I'll be getting my bachelor's soon enough. Matt got his.
It's funny. I put. Did you see in the little family tweet? I put that thing out about the guy. He was saying he's an economist, and he said, you know what? Everybody talks about how student debt is just so bad. He goes, it's really the best thing you could ever do in your life. He goes, you're gonna make on average $1 million more than a person without education.
Yeah.
So he said, it really, it really is. It is. Yeah, you're borrowing against your future, but what if you don't do it and then your future comes? You just know you're
Yeah,
nowhere.
you have nothing to
Right.
give to it.
And think about education. It's like the army teaches you you're like a generalist. You really are. You're just kind of told this is your mission. This is what you need to do. Go get it done.
Yeah.
And your education, yeah, it might be specialized in one area, one particular discipline, but you'll discover that you can do anything.
Well, I mean, even in college though, it's like I'm getting my bachelor's of applied biological sciences, but here I am taking an upper division humanities class
Right.
on the history of film.
Yeah. Well, it's
And-
probably
and-
and you're learning how to be creative, express yourself. All these disciplines.
It all comes down to like critical thinking. Was what I
critical
think about
thinking.
it.
Oh, for sure. Like
It's huge.
when I think of you kids, man, you guys are great critical thinkers. You question and you're curious and you have some good. I feel like you guys have some good ethics about planetary resources and future generations and climate control, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sustainability. You guys. I never thought like that at your age. I mean, it just, first of all, it wasn't really being talked about.
Yeah, Al Gore was smothered out.
but you guys are, I don't know, you're just a better version of me and your mom. And
I think we're all just very curious, and
Yeah.
hence me asking you these questions and bringing you here and talking to you, because there's a lot of things that I haven't got to ask you that I did today, and there's even more. Like we haven't even talked about Kilimanjaro. We didn't talk about karate.
right.
We didn't talk about these other adventures you've been on that I think are worth a while, and maybe next time. But
Yeah.
I think we should wrap it up here though. It's 6
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Ib's got to come get me. So
Yeah, everyone, this is Hunter signing out, and Dad, Thomas Hicks. He's a huge inspiration, probably for not just me, but all of my siblings as well, to some regard. And I hope you enjoyed his story thus far. There's plenty more.
thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
yeah. Thanks, Dad.